All right, class. First off, as always, good day. I'm glad you're here. So, today we're going to be talking about economics. This is the beginning part of it, okay? Last grading period, we had government. Now we have economics, okay? Now, the thing is, I want to emphasize right from the beginning is this class of economics is not about making money, okay? A lot of people seem to think that's what economics is all about. It's not. There's a lot of things that evolve around economics, you know. Um, so a great example of which I used in class, and some students didn't want to admit it, but it was in their head. If I was to say Red Robin, chances are in your head you went, yum. Why do you do that? Why does your mind go to that? Or if I said BK, have it your way, chances are your mind went said, you rule. Why? Why do we do that? That's the kind of stuff we're talking about in economics. Why does that happen? Or if even more practical one, you ever look on your social media feed or go on Google, stuff like that, and all of a sudden an ad pops up for something that you were just thinking about or discussing with a friend. That's the thing. The government is not listening to you. That's what a lot of students say. Oh, they're listening to you on your phone or they're checking your. No, it's not that. We are actually going to talk about that in this class. Okay, so we'll eventually get to it, but today we're going to start with the basics. Okay, so the objective today, we're going to analyze how scarcity plays a role in the amount produced and the price, or examine what truly is a need. You need to know what this thing is. Okay, we're going to create an argument on which of the three factors of production is the most important. Okay. So here's your warm up picture. Okay. Now, the question's asking you there's the US economy and then there's China economy. What do you see the difference? Compare them. You know, how are the US behaving? How is China behaving? You know, things like that. Okay. Do not put, I see a stadium, I see lights. No, that's not what I'm asking. I'm not asking you to list things. I'm asking you to compare China and United States, specifically their mannerisms. You know, that's what we're looking at. I don't care about one's red, one's blue. That's not what I'm asking. Okay, their mannerisms. So how is the United States portrayed, and how is China portrayed? Okay, so pause the video, write your response because we're moving on in three, two, one. All right. So economics. The definition is this: it's the production, consumption, and transfer of wealth, how things are made, how things are used, and basically how wealth is transferred from one person or company to another. Um, now, again, like I said in class, you don't see the term money on there, transfer of money. No, because wealth can refer to a lot of things. Okay. So again, we're not specifically looking just at money. We're looking at a lot of things. Okay. Now, one of the very first things you should know, which I believe you guys do, but again, sometimes it seems like you don't, is scarcity. That we don't have enough of everything in the world. You know, um, I've had a lot of students, especially um, last year, when they would take pencils. I told them I don't have any more. Why do you have any more? Why can't you get more? Well, geez, maybe because I don't have money, or maybe because you guys keep breaking them and taking them and throwing them around places, you know. So I don't have enough, so I can't just give them away. You know, that's a scarcity of things I had back then, that year. You know, but overall around the world, we don't have enough food for everyone. We don't have enough fresh water for everybody. You know, so scarcity is a real thing. Okay. Now, in all economic decisions, it falls into two categories. You know, is this a thing that you need or is it a thing that you want? Okay. There is no in between. It's either something you need or something you want. Now, uh, there are only truly three essential needs that you really need to have in order to survive. Okay, and all of them are basic. What I mean by that is, um, like food, right? Food is one of the things, and yes, water is included with food. Um, you don't need fast food to survive. You can survive with vegetables and fruits, and you get a uncooked chicken, you can survive with that. You don't need fast food. That's a luxury. That's a want. You want fast food, but can you get stuff you know other than that? Yeah, you can. You can get fruit. You can get vegetables. The thing is, you choose not to. You don't want that. Okay. So when you say, "Oh, I'm hungry. I want this," you want. See right there. You want fast food. Okay. You don't need it. You want it. Same thing with clothing. You don't need designer clothing to stay warm. You don't need a pair of J's on your shoes. You can get cheaper things. An $8 coat from Walmart. Just a regular coat, nothing fancy. No designer names on there. You don't like a shirt like this. An undershirt. Costs a couple bucks. It does not need to be uh like a Champions or Cookies, Backwoods, Nike, none of that stuff. It does not have to be one of those, which the prices always are higher. We're talking basics, okay? You can live without having J's on your shoes. It's possible, okay? Next thing is shelter. Basically four walls and a roof over your head, you're good. It's things that can keep the elements out away from you. Rain, snow, things like that, the cold, they're good. You know, you don't need a mansion. You don't need a big old house and things like that. You want a big house. You want a mansion. But really, to survive, to live, you don't need that. Now, those again are the three things you need to survive. Because if you don't have those basic things, you will perish. You will die. Again, you don't have food, you will die. You don't have clothing, to protect you from the elements, you will die. If you don't have a place to go, keep you safe and things like that, protect you from the cold, the rain, um, yeah, you will die. So, okay. Now, a student tried to say in class, well, homeless people don't have shelters. No, they don't. But guess what? Do they make one out of cardboard boxes and whatever they could find around? Yeah, they do. They make shelter out of stuff. So that should tell you right there. You could survive as long as you have those three things. Do they have to have McDonald's? Do they have to wear a pair of Jordans on their shoes? No, they don't have that stuff, but they survive. They have basic clothing, basic food, basic shelter. They're barely making it, but yet they are surviving. Okay. So what is defined as a want? Basically everything else. Anything that is not a need is considered a want. Okay. So again, like fast food, designer clothing, a phone. Even though some of you guys are like, I need my phone. No, you don't. You can survive without it. You don't need a phone. Okay. Also, when it comes to people, there are two types of people. Sometimes, not everyone, but some people are producers. They create things, they make things, okay? But every single person is a consumer. We take things, we use things. That's all of us, okay? Now, I had this, like I said in class, I had a student a couple years ago who said, well, businesses, they don't, buy things. And I just sitting there going, wait, hold on, what? And she was like, yeah, businesses don't buy things, they sell things. She was trying to be smart, but somebody in class just totally demolished her argument quick, fast, and in a hurry, you know? Because, yeah, you make things, but how did you make it? Where'd you get the supplies? You had to buy it. So, if you are going into business, you're going to need to ask yourself three questions to produce something. What are you going to make? How are you going to make it? And for whom are you making this for? Now, the first question, what to make? Okay, well, here's the thing. What is needed? And where are you going to sell this stuff? Okay? Um so what is needed? Cuz if you just make something just a ball of nothing, some like you just get a bunch of clothes, you tie them together and stuff like that. Who's going to want that? Nobody. Why? It's not needed. So why would somebody spend money on that? You know? And then the other thing too is where. So let's say I gave the example in class in let's say the state of Oklahoma. There's not that many lakes, they don't have an ocean there. So would it be wise to sell jet skis there? Yeah, no, it wouldn't, right? Maybe here in California, yeah, absolutely. We got the ocean, we got lots of lakes and things like that. So yeah, wouldn't be smart. Now how to produce it? This is nothing. Do you mass produce it, like make a ton of it, or do you minimize it? Don't make that much. You know, um, and this is something a business has to think about. So, like I gave the example of my little pop figures. Some of them, yeah, I can, you see them, the same one at five different stores, you know. Now, because you make a lot, that means the price is going to go small. Because if somebody can find your stuff everywhere, then why would I pay a high price for it? You can find it anywhere, you know. The other thing is the minimum amount. Just a lot of people think, oh, because something is rare or, not there's not that much of it, the price is going to go high. Well, here's the thing: people have to want it in order for the price to go high. Just because I only made three dolls made in my hand doesn't mean somebody wants to buy it. Doesn't mean I can't raise the price to $5 million. No, you know. So that's the kind of stuff we're going to talk about later on, but we'll get to that later. The other thing is, well, how are you going to make this? Are you going to have more machines and less people, or less machines and more people? Because remember, machines don't take breaks. Machines just keep producing. Okay, and so you can make a lot of stuff in a short amount of time. Now, the other thing is though, like I said, you're gonna have a lot of it, so you're gonna flood the market with this stuff. Whereas the other hand, if you have less machines and more people doing more workers, more people workers, um, you're gonna have to think of stuff like this. It's gonna be handmade, so it's gonna cost a little bit more to make it, and then to sell it too. You can sell it a little bit higher, but you're gonna have less. And what if people don't want it? Then what? So you got to take those things into consideration. You have to factor those in. And lastly, whom are you making this for? Who is the target audience for you're going for this product? So like I said, my pop figures, who can buy them? Anybody, right? Kid to older people, doesn't matter. If they're interested in it, they'll buy it. Now, something like baby formula, who's that for? Babies. I don't have any kids, so why in the world would I buy baby formula? You know, I'm, I'm not gonna use it. You know, I might get it for, somebody for a baby shower, but that's about it. That's the only reason I would ever buy one. Okay, so again, what you make it can either be general, like anyone can get it, or it could be specifically aimed at a certain group. Okay. Now, factors of production. There's three things when it comes to production that every company needs. One is land. Okay. And when we talk about land, we're not just talking about the ground, we're talking about resources that are not man made. So if um, your company needs, you know, fresh water, oil, gold, silver, platinum, coal, things from the ground, again, not man made, then that's considered land. Now, um, I had a student ask me, well, what about like if you don't have a factory, you're making something from your home? That room, whichever it is you're in making that stuff, that's basically land. That's that's what we're talking about. That's the place where you're making this stuff. Okay. Now, capital refers to anything that's used to create whatever you're creating. So if you need that fresh water to make, I don't know, some type of drink, that's that's it. You need that. Post-its, pencils, computers, all that stuff is considered capital. Okay. Um, so like when a company goes under and they have to liquidate their assets, they basically have to take in calculation everything they have, all the pencils, pens, post-its, computers, desks, chairs, all that stuff. They basically combine the total wealth and then they have to like sell all that stuff, you know. So that's what it means when they say capital when it comes to businesses. The other thing is labor. Okay, we're talking about you, me, everyone else who's working. Talk about the effort, skills, and abilities. Now, I hate to make it sound bad, but the thing is, the fact of the matter is, if you work at a fast food place, it doesn't require much skill to make a hamburger or make a taco. Okay, what you need to know the pattern, what goes first, with things like that, and which order. Okay, fine, great. But again, that doesn't require much skill to do. That's why they pay those workers really low, the minimum wage. Okay, because again, it doesn't take much skill. Um, the other thing though is, let's say you're a welder, or a mechanic, uh, an artist. Those people have skills that either they naturally had, like a natural skill, or they developed it as time went on. And then they can use their skills. Say when somebody's trying to hire them, they can be like, hey, you know what, I got my certificate, I been welding for 20 years, these are my work, I've done this, I've worked on this, I welded this building, things like that, the frame of it, all that stuff. They can say that stuff and they can then say my price per day is this, or per project is this. you know they can set that limit because again of their skills and abilities. Okay, so that's why I say in class it's good to try to find a skill you can use, because again, if you can't find a job, you can at least fall back on that skill. So if you don't have one, see what you like. Try to find a skill that you could be good at. Okay, the next one's entrepreneur. This is people who are responsible for a change in the economy. Now, I really don't like the guy as a basketball player, but you have to get credit where credit is due. And like LeBron James is an entrepreneur. He is creating jobs. He is doing things that is affecting the economy for the positive. You know, a lot of people who are inventors tend to be entrepreneurs because again, they create something, they gonna sell it. They create factories and things like that, businesses. So yeah. Now some rich millionaire, billionaire person who just sits on their butts and doesn't do anything, you know, they're not an entrepreneur. They might use that term, like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. No, they're not. They don't do anything to help the economy in a sense like they're not creating jobs. They're not creating products, stuff like that. Okay. And again, products refers to not only goods, like things that you create, but also services. So let's say you want to start a company where um, you somebody can rent limos from you. You didn't build the limos, but the thing is, you're providing that service of, hey, here's the limo. If you want to rent it for the day or a week or whatever, we'll have a driver for you, and you can go from point A to point B to point Z if you want. Okay, that's a service that counts as production. Okay. Now, I really don't use this term all too much, but you're going to hear it quite a bit once Black Friday's over and the Christmas season's over. You're going to hear the term GDP on the news. That means gross domestic product. It's basically how much a country has made in a year. Okay. Now, there are certain things a country or a state, a company, basic regular under the mill company needs, and that's analysis. These are people who tell the company, the state or country, whoever they work for, how well they're doing economically. All right. So during COVID, um, people were hurting, right? And these analysis people, when they had to meet the top people, they had to be like, "Hey, why is our company losing money? What's going on here?" They come up with the explanation quite easily. All of them have the same thing: COVID. Everything's in shutdown mode. There's lockdowns and things like that, so people are not buying things. You know, there it is. Okay, and this is why. So let's say Pepsi, just throwing them under the bus. They make a soda that makes you drool. You know, and they're like, "Well, how come people aren't buying it?" Then they'd be like, "Well, because it makes people drool, and people don't like that." You know, so that's why it's not selling. Then comes the prediction part, which is basically an educated guess based off data that helps them make decisions. Um, so they might say, like, well, do you think this will get better? They probably be like, no, it's not going to get better with that soda that makes people drool. People are not going to buy it. So we suggest you stop making it. Well, is this going to affect our other sodas? Data says no. People are still drinking regular Pepsi because they don't drool. It doesn't make them drool. So now, I had a student the other day basically tell me, we don't do that stuff. I told him, well, really? So tell me this coming weekend, your favorite football team, who do they play? He told me, and I said, okay, is your team going to win? He's like, yeah. I'm like, why? He goes, because the other team sucks. I'm like, well, how they suck? He's like, oh man, they got like the worst offense. They're like offense is like 30th offense in the whole league. Our defense is like in the top 10, and our guy, he's number 4 and the sacks and things like that. And I told him, look at all that stuff you're saying. That's all data. That's all numbers. And you're explaining to me how your team is going to win using that data against from data from the other team and your team. And you're making that prediction using this, uh, using the data to help you say my team's going to win. So you guys do this all the time. You just don't realize it. Now, here is your question. Would you consider electricity as a need? So remember, the essential needs. Would you consider electricity as one? Yes, no, why or why not? Okay. As you can see in that purple, do not put yes and no. Don't put, I think it's both. No, no. If I read that, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to mark it wrong. Pick a side, yes or no. No in between. No, yes and no. Because again, I'm telling you right now, and I will play this video at this part if you do this. If you put yes and no or both, you put that. I'm telling you, I will mark it wrong. Okay, pick a side. Would you consider electricity as a need? Yes or no? Okay. Now, before you guys start moving on, because again, I know how some of you students are, you should have gotten this paper. Now, this paper, what you're basically going to do is read the instructions right there, right? It says it. And this is going to help me realize, did you pay attention to the notes? Now, I've had students in the past basically tell their boyfriends, girlfriends, brothers, sisters, cousins, whoever, parents, hey, do this for me. They didn't watch the video. They don't know. So when they start making the list, I can see like, yeah, no, they don't know what we're talking about because again, they didn't watch the video. They don't know what specifically are wants and needs. So I'm going to be reading this stuff. And if it looks like that you did not get it, you're going to be docked points. Okay? So again, read what it says and make sure also to you if you forgot what actually is a need and what actually is a want, go back to the part of the video in the beginning and rewatch it. Okay? Don't shoot yourselves in the foot. Okay? So, with that being said, you guys, you take care, you be safe, and I'll see you guys later. Okay?